Hello, I thought I'd do a video on my Hobie, how I've set it up. It's taken me a couple months to rig it. Let's take a look. First off, I've got the motor guide XI3 with GPS, so it has the pinpoint lock. I've rigged up my little carabiner here, and I have it set to the seat pull, and I've also run a Hobie tube for the 550 cord so that it doesn't chew through the plastic. It's guided. Also in front, I've got a Yak Power 5-switch system that's powering my fish finders. Switch 1 goes to the left fish finder, fish 2 goes to the right, bow goes to the Panoptics, mid goes to my network, and stern goes to my backbone since I have a steady cast on it. I'm running a 93 SV UHD for the right, and this is what I put my Panoptics on, my live scope, and I have a 73 SV UHD that I use for maps. You may ask why I didn't go with the 1026 10-inch. Well, that's about $1,000 more, and by going with the 93 UHD or SV UHD, I was able to purchase the 7-inch monitor, the Garmin, the network, and the backbone. So for me, it was a better deal to go this route, to be able to get the 2 monitors. I have my motor plug going right here where it just snaps in. I also have a USB port that I've plugged in. I can charge my Altec speaker in case I want to have some tunes while I'm going out. It will also power my front GoPro, so I don't have to worry about running out of battery. I'm running the motor guide foot control. It took me a little bit to set it up because I had to use a wheel chock, use Velcro, and I had to screw the back down because of the front being so far off, and it's adhered here with Velcro also. You can see I had to grind quite a bit off the sides to get it to fit, and you had to grind the center out because of the rib that runs down through the center of the plug. But it does fit down in real nice. It locks, and it works wonderful. I can fish banks without stopping to adjust my position of the yak. A lot of these things that you're seeing, I've watched other videos and I'm using their ideas, but I'm using a conglomeration of a bunch of ideas to make what I feel is the best yak for me. You can see here I ran my wires up from the front panel. For me, it gave me a better, cleaner appearance than running them from the sides up. Also, with the live scope, I've got it run through the top rod tube on the left, and I'm using a rubber plug. One, I was worried that if I did roll my kayak, I've got about 1 1/8 hole in that tube. That would let in a lot of water. So with this plug, I don't have to worry about as much water getting into the yak. On the kickstand, I've run my front carabiner for the motor release right here. I don't use it for the seat because I have something underneath the seat. You can also see I ran my 2 rod holders on one side, and I can put my pole for the Panoptics right here, run my locks in, and I don't have to worry about it jiggling around. I am also running a neoprene cover on the head of the LVS 34 so I don't damage it. That's a major concern of mine. I use the Fishing Specialties pole in the mount, and this works wonderful. It gives me 360 look. The one thing I am going to change, and I'm waiting on right now, is I've got the side mount that comes with it that has an 8-degree tilt. From what I've seen, one of the better mounts is the transducer mount for the LVS 34, and that's what I'm going to put on here as soon as it comes, so that it is completely in line with the pole and it's 100% straight up and down. The advantage with that, with it being crooked, you can cast out, you can see your lure drop through. You might see it, but then it drops out of the area that it sees, so then you lose it. If it's vertical, you'll be able to see it go all the way through. The fishing boxes here, I just pulled out this holder from the box, and or the center rectangular hatch, and I put a box in there. You can see here I ran the Burley Pro side seat holders, so I can put my pliers, my gripper, and my scissors right there, so when I need them, they're all tethered. Back here, you have to come around this way, right there, I have a 12-volt plug-in, so when I need to hook up straight 12-volt, I can. My battery is right here. It's a 100 milliamp lithium battery. I ran the Anderson 50 milliamp plugs and pulled it out all the way down the yak, so I just plug it in and I have power, and when I want to charge, I just clamp on here and here and I'm good to go. The one thing I do use is some stronger bungee cords to hold it in case I roll it. The cords that I'm using, they're flexible. Believe it or not, I saw in one video a guy used Amazon jumper cables, and these were 12 foot. They also were only $13, so that's a good buy if you need and are setting up a rig, is to use the $13 jumper cables. Over here I'm running the Boondocks. Even though I'm not using it right now, if I take my motor off, don't use the battery, and I want to go out fishing some rivers or elsewhere where I have to manually put in, I can put them in and use them. I'm placing my oars on the back. Only difference that I'm doing here is, since I put the Boondocks on, these oar holders are usually up front in this spot right here. So I just swapped this tie down with the oar holder, and it works perfect. I am using the Hobie crate with the cover. Just in case I roll, I don't want to lose all my lures. The rod holders I put on the side, I got from Amazon. For 8 of them, it was $26, so it saved a lot of money. The top one fit, and I just had to drill the bottom. Not a big deal to me. Towards the back, I'm running a Burley Pro rear light. I like this light, it's bright, and it's powered by my battery. I wired it in with another Hobie through hull wiring kit, so it's wired into my switch, and I can run it and unplug it and take it off when I'm done. Come around this way. I did put on the lighted whips. I saw it and I thought it would be a good idea. There's 2 problems with running the whips. Number 1, the directional is fine. It lights up yellow, so no problem there. But when I hit the brake light, it lights up yellow also. In North Carolina, your brake light has to emit red light. So if I use this on the highway, I'd be illegal. The second problem with this is when you have it plugged into the controller, when you turn your lights on, it shuts these off because it confuses the box. So you lose these at night anyway. The third problem with this is when you go to wire it in, you've got a red wire that's hot that powers the box. And if you're using a 7-pin trailer plug and you try to use the hot wire on the trailer plug, you can, but you have to either wire in a straight 7 plug, or if you're using a 7 plug to 4-pin flat connector, you have to come up with a way of coming out of the plug. So I'm just using these right now as guides. I'm also using them when I put the box in and plug them into my plug on the left. I can use them as lights in the morning when I'm setting up. So overall, I wouldn't do it again. I'm using drag chains. With the Anchor Wizard, I'm using the pulley system, and it comes up to the Anchor Wizard. It works real good. I'm using a flat Hobie plate and bolted it to it. So it gives it a nice mount. Up front here, I'm using Velcro to hold my controller for the motor guide. When I'm just going to an area, I use this instead of my foot pedal. I've got it strapped to my guard, and it's tucked into my rubber basket right here. So in case something happened and it came off the Velcro, it wouldn't be lost. I'm also using a Burley Pro plate here. I've got another tether, and on that tether I use a pair of forceps, which help when I change lures sometimes, and I just clamp it right here. The Hobie box, I use it mainly for storage and trash on the bottom. So up front, underneath the seat, I'm using a box, and it's a DeWalt box. I bought it off of Amazon pretty cheap, and I just use it for storage of terminal gear and some lures. I usually have it strapped down tighter. Because I'm doing the video, I didn't take time to strap it down super tight. In the center console is where I store all my stuff. This is an adapter that I made that plugs into that 12-volt plug in the back, and I've got it wired directly to my battery for the electronics, so I can charge it with this without pulling the battery out. I've also got another controller. I've learned from other people that they've had these controllers fail, and if it does fail, their motor's pretty much useless. So I do have a backup. It's just the cheaper one, but it works. Inside the box, I've got another IKE Power 5 switch, which I've got switch 1 goes to my internal lights, which light up the cockpit area in the morning. I've got switch 2, which powers my running lights in the rear and in the front, which I plugged in because I am motorized. I have to have them. The other switch on the mid is for another charger plug I've got right here. So when I have my phone in here, I can charge it as I need. The reason I went with a IKE Power here and a IKE Power up front was because I wanted all my fish finders and everything else on its own circuit. I wanted to be able to shut off the left monitor if I wanted to break down and I didn't need Panoptics. I could take this off and I just turn it off there, and I don't have power running to the cables on the back. It was just an extra safety feature for me, and I like it. Inside the cubby hole, I'm going to show you there. I did find a lock that I used to lock my motor guide on. This was a little bit difficult because you've got this spot here and you've got the one objective mount here that prevents you from using a hard lock. So I went with a wire lock that is removable, and then I just pull my pin and I've got to remove my release. One thing you'll notice, I do have a bilge pump. It's manual, but in case I do roll it or I get water in the kayak, I can pump it out. I've also got a little bailing bucket. I had that before I got the pump. I've got a dry bag with spare clothes in case I do dump it. I can get into spare dry clothes. Spare cord in case I need a tow spot. And probably one of the most important things, diaper wipes and toilet paper. Terrible to be out fishing and have to go and not have toilet paper when you need it. So that stays in the front hatch. I am running a one objective plate in the front with my Panoptics and my IKE Power. Behind this I have my networking from Garmin and my backbone. I ran the plugs up just in case I got water in the bottom. I feel it's a little bit safer to have plugs up. You can see over here, I've got my 1 1/8 inch hole saw hole that I can feed my cable through and take my Panoptics off. Here is the tube I was mentioning that hooks to my 550 cord for releasing the motor. You will also see this stretch cord. That is to give me the spring that I need for the seats pull so that it goes back. When I put the tub back in, it goes over to the side, works good. Boom. I just ran rod socks on the wiring to try to keep it a little bit neater. I ran waterproof tape. It's all I had. I didn't have any big shrink tubing, so it's what I used. My front camera is on a Railblazer, and it's running a Hero 7 with the mic on top. And it's, like I said, charged from the battery. Right in here, I have a 50 milliamp lithium battery that's powering all my electronics. The 100 milliamp just powers the motor. From what I understand and have heard, if you have the 100 milliamp running the motor and your electronics, it can cause some problems. So I just ran that separate. Also, if I want to run without my motor, I've got my battery already in the kayak, so I have no problems. In the back, I'm running a RAM mount camera system that works real good because I can adjust it left, right, up and down. It's got a lot of features for adjustment. My net is a yak net. I love it. And I'm using the yak tube. Fits in perfect. I use a left-hand retrieve, so I keep it on my left side so that when I'm taking in a fish, I can hold the rod, grab the net, scoop it up. What I've done also, and I like, by running this setup, I've run where I can land fish on the right or the left. I'm not limited to one side. And it's not bad reaching these monitors when I need to. So that wasn't a problem. And you can see I'm running a 21-inch crossbar that allows me to mount these. And I'm also mounting these with the Hobie flat plates. 2 for the right, 1 for the left. And it works real good. Put it on me. Now, if you have any questions about how I have it set up, please feel free to contact me and I'll try to explain what I've done and give you any help and hints that I can. Thank you for watching this video.